This tutorial will show you how to make a Boolean case statement. Booleans are the third type of variables that you can use with case statements. With case statements you can only use integers, characters, or Booleans. So this is the last type that I can use. In this example, I declare a variable which I say bool, my bool. I then say enter a value. I give the prompt. Now I'm going to take cn input into my bool. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'll say switch. What comes next? What do you write next now that you've seen switch statements 3 times? Yeah, it's got to be parentheses. Inside of the parentheses you have to say my bool. Now give yourself an opening brace and a closing brace. And I am going to go ahead now and say case. There's only 2 possibilities. You will have entered either a 1 or a 0, or what is read as a 1 or 0. You might have actually entered 100 here. 100 would be perceived as being true. So I'm going to say a 1. And I'll have to say here, cout, quote, you entered 1. End L. Now to finish the case, you say break. Now I'll say case 0. That would be the other possibility. Cout, quote, you entered 0. I might give it an explanation. This is a false. And this is a true, so it makes some sense to the person who's running the program. And then I'll have an end L here. And again, since I'm finishing off case 0, I'm going to say break. And then there's another possibility, I guess, and that is you might have entered something else. You can always handle the something else with a default. And I'll say here, default, you entered something other than 0 or 1. That's what a default catches, anything else. Break. Now in reality, there's nothing else you could enter but a 0 or 1. It's either going to be true or false. Let's go ahead and run this program. See if it compiles. See if we have any issues. Let's rebuild it. Make sure we put in a system pause at the bottom. Looks like it'll compile since I just built it and it looked like there were no issues. You can see that this is a pretty useless use of a switch statement. I can't think of a practical application of this. So if I say start debugging, enter a value, if I enter 100, I guess it just told me I entered a 0 or 1, so you can get other things. So if I say start without debugging and I say 1, you just entered a true. If I run it again and I enter a 0, it'll tell me I just entered a false. And if you enter something else, like -1, it's going to tell you entered something other than 0, 1. So actually, default did have a good use here if you entered something other than a 0 or a 1. At this point, this concludes the tutorial on how to do Boolean case statements.